Stabilizing is really the testing phase where the QA process comes into play. The testers come into play and really rigorously test the application for bugs and so on and so forth. And then, of course, deploying the application goes into actually physically placing the application on the production servers and or the client's servers in a Windows application sense. And that's that. So again, we're going to be spending most of our time in the developing area down here with a little bit on deploying near the end of this exam pack. But there's the big picture. Again, this is kind of a great blueprint here that Microsoft put forth to help teams and developers guide them through the software development process. Now let's talk a little bit about the nature of Windows applications. A Windows application can be very simple to maybe just a simple utility application that does nothing but sit on the local client PC and that's it. Or it can be a really complex application that requires a lot of servers cooperating to get the job done. Now, let's take a very simple client application, for instance. Maybe just a simple utility application that sits on your local computer, monitors processes or whatnot. That type of application you'd probably download from the internet, install it on your local PC, and that's it. It would just run locally. It wouldn't communicate with any other servers, and that's one thing. A more complex application you may, especially a larger one, you may install from a CD or a DVD, and then it also may communicate and cooperate with other servers to get the job done. And most applications out there make sense of some sort of data. So you may have an application that you've installed on your local PC that requires data. Well, if you're in a local intranet, then it can probably hit up the database directly. And we would obviously call that a client-server application, a two-tier application. Now, more complex applications, if you have a local application installed on your desktop, but the database resides somewhere over the internet, then you'll probably access that data through a web server. And in this case, we'll call our web server an IIS server, Internet Information Services, which is Microsoft's version of a web server. But anyway, that client application on the local desktop then would hit up a web service on the IIS server. And think of a web service, if you're not familiar with a function, really just think of it as a function that sits on a web server, so we can call it remotely. And that web service can then access that remote database and then return the data back to the client. So that's a little more complex of an application, and we would call that a three-tier application. We also could have a COM server, a COM plus server as we call these, which are component servers. And these are meant for really, really complex servers where you need to separate your business logic out into its own world, right? Say maybe you have an application that does thousands of transactions a minute or second or whatnot. Then what you would do is you would separate that business logic into a DLL file and put that DLL file into a COM plus server. And now what would happen is you would go from the client to the IIS server, which may hit the COM plus server, which then may go to the database server and back out through the IIS server. There's a lot of different ways it could do this, but the point is here that this would be considered an N-tier application because now you have many tiers involved all cooperating to get the job done. So Windows applications can range from very simple to very complex, but of course the Windows application itself is always going to sit on the client machine. So this exam pack really focuses on two-tier applications, client to database applications, building the user interface, learning about controls, and just generally working with the client side of this of the development process. And again, building the user interface, and also working with database and manipulating database data, not only relational database management systems, but also XML data. We get into more of this enterprise level N-tier application design in the enterprise distributed application exam pack. Now, the next thing I want to focus on here is just briefly talk about some of these components, the tools, the technologies that we'll be working with, some terminology here. Basically what we have is Visual Studio 2005 is the development environment, Microsoft's suite of tools that we can use to build applications with. And inside of there we have some programming languages. We have Visual Basic, .NET, and C#, and these are the two major languages in building applications. ASP.NET is more of a web developer's application for building the front end of web development applications and websites. But I just wanted to mention it here because you'll probably get familiar with that term as we go along. But Visual Basic here has been around for a long time. We're technically at Visual Basic 9.0 now in Visual Studio 2005. And again, it's a great, easy language to pick up, especially for beginners. C# is a brand new language that has come out recently. And it's very similar to Visual Basic in a lot of ways, but it's actually more closely related to C++. So it's kind of a slimmed down, easy version of C++ to understand and learn. It's a great language.